Mr. Alvin Roehr. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing great, Joey. How are you?
Alvin, I'm doing all right, sir. I'm doing all right. I want to know this before we get into anything too serious. And is there anything that you kind of refuse to do just out and about in society? Just very, minor. It doesn't have to be anything major. It's just something that you say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And for whatever reason, it makes maybe no sense to you, but you feel better at the end of the day for having not participated.
Being an insurance agent, I represent people on every side of every spectrum. So I have to be very, very careful, politically correct just about everything I do. There are a lot of things out there that drive me nuts. And I guess I'm probably going to debate or fight wearing a mask from here on out. How about that? I'll take my chances.
For me, Alvin, it's a tiny shopping cart. For whatever reason, if I'm going to the store, I'm either going to go big shopping cart basket. I can't bring myself to push the little shopping cart around. For whatever reason, it feels like it doesn't serve much of a purpose for me.
Even if you buy one small thing, I'm in the same. I do the same thing. So that's funny you
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things I refuse to do. I mean, I'll push the kids' carts around. I'll put the kids in there all day long, but just the shopping cart, that's like in between. I need something a little more substantial in my life. But Alvin, I want to move that over to the world of insurance, and you've had a pretty interesting career, and I'm kind of curious to talk about the ebbs and flows of that. But is there something that you have, for whatever reason, drawn a line in the sand and said, you know what, I don't know that this makes sense for what I want to do and how I want to do things when it comes to selling insurance or just my business in general? It could be just something minor again that, for whatever reason, you have maybe avoided on purpose.
There's really not. One of the things that we do that I think is different than a lot of people is that I grew up sitting at a kitchen table meeting with people talking about their insurance. So if I have a person that pays me $500 a year, they'll probably get as much service as somebody that's paying me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Because I know that when you're in that situation, you want to know the answers. And so you have no idea who is going to be there and who you're going to be talking with. And I feel like if I have one thing to offer, it's explaining insurance programs to different people. And I kind of thrive on that. So I probably find myself doing things I shouldn't be doing, but that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, obviously, would you consider that something that maybe attributed to your success then, being sort of standing by that sort of core, we'll say, principle, maybe?
I would say yes, because that's how people want to be treated, and that's how I like to be treated.
You look at maybe what has become a little more popular in the industry now, and that is being a little more focused on profitability, we'll say, and just the amount of time you do spend on a particular case, right? So how do you combat that, I guess, and say, to your people and say, listen, like, we're going to do what it takes to make sure everybody understands what they need to understand, but at the same time, you still have a business to run, and how do you at the end of the day make it feasible for everybody to do what they need to do?
We just do it. We take the time with each person. We have people come in here. It's ironic, and you probably understand this, but most of the people that are the most needy are the ones that pay us the least amount. And so we could easily just, draw a line in the sand and say we're not going to do it. But I believe that those things go a long way, and indirectly we get a lot of benefit from doing it that way. And I think I have fought tooth and nail to keep from selling to a national broker because national brokers wouldn't allow me to do that. And I believe because we're locally owned and we got our own shop and I'm making the call, we're gonna keep doing it as long as I'm here. I feel good about it. I feel good about getting up every day and going to work, and that's a big reason why.
Yeah, and it's something that I do think, again, it's a little bit lost, because the way you mentioned it, you started at the kitchen table, and that's something that has sort of obviously faded out of we'll say relevance in terms of actually going to somebody's house and sitting down. And is there a way that if you're talking to somebody that is looking to start their insurance journey, maybe they're a couple years in, they're trying to do things their way, and they're trying to again make peace with what has worked and maybe where they need to go, to find their own way in the industry. Is there something that you've sort of picked up along the way as things have sort of ebbed and flowed of the people that have maybe found success, the people that you brought into your agency potentially that have kind of had to marry those two worlds together? Is there something that stood out to you?
It had the things that really have made me see what success comes with our industry. I mean, I started cold calling personal lines accounts when I started in the business 40 years ago. So calling people at home on their home phones. And that's how much things have changed. Today, I think the success I see from people is our guys go out and try to create relationships with people, so much more than going out and saying, hey, do you want to buy some insurance? But they go out, they get to know them. In our business, people are looking for experts and they're looking for people that can hold your hand. And our people, they create that. We're not a pushy sales company where let's go out, let's let those people do all the talking and let us do the listening. That turns into something that's been very good for us. We're not advertising big. We it's one call at a time, and it's just really worked well. We do a lot of support in the city where we take care of volunteering with our customers. We volunteer with Cincinnati, Ohio as much as we can. We give a lot of our time to being a bigger part of the community. I think all those things go a long way. I keep hearing from in the industry of all the things that you're not supposed to be doing, and I think we do almost all of them that you're not supposed to be doing them. But I think we've grown double digits every year since we've been in the business, and it continues. And as long as that's working for us, we're going to keep doing it.
That's the thing that is always, coming into it, that sort of that tension of, like you said, the things that you're not supposed to do anymore, but yet you constantly continue to say, like, listen, it doesn't matter. I'm always just baffled by sort of that, it works until it works, it's working, right? So is there something that maybe you have had your eye on to say, like, well, is there anything new that you've added to the mix that you have maybe thought, oh, this is going to be beneficial to what, like you said, like to not doing the things you're not supposed to do? Is there anything that you have maybe seen, we'll consider a marginally new tactic that has been successful for you guys?
Well, when I started 10 years, I've been in my new business for 10 years. In the beginning, I was really the only sales guy. And soon after we started, I brought in a guy that never sold insurance before. And then I brought in another guy that was in the industry, but he never sold insurance before. So I had me kind of supporting most of what we were trying to do in the beginning, and two young guys that were trying to learn the business, which they did learn, and they're doing pretty good right now. We recently brought in another established salesperson, which really jump-started us. And then I had and I have two of my children working here, and one of them is in sales. So, we've got great salespeople. I'm able to share a few things that I feel worked for me, but I think each guy likes to choose their own path, do it their own way. Good salesmen probably are a little bit stubborn in their way of doing things. So I'm always there to help. I know that when I started, I sat with our top sales guy as much as I could and just listened to what he did and followed a lot of the things that he did. And it was really growing your network, making your network bigger. It's not about selling the cheapest price and getting a product that does that. It's more of getting a lot of people to trust in you and holding on accounts. I mean, I know I have accounts 30 and 40 years that I've had them written, and they just stick with us because, they're not looking for the cheapest thing. They're looking for somebody that's going to be there when something happens. And that's what I preach over and over and over again is just, being there when somebody needs you. I get a call on a Saturday night, I handle it. I get a call on a Sunday, I handle it. Most people shut their phones down and go enjoy it. Now, believe me, I enjoy everything. I do have a lot of fun in life, but I go on vacation. My phone's are always there. If somebody calls me, I answer it. And that's just a commitment that I've made.
So, Alvin, I'm trying to do the math here. You said you started up the new agency about 10 years ago with a few folks. You said you got some clients that are 30 or 40 years old. And then you also slipped before we started recording that you were in the sporting goods business before that. So I need a little help making sense of the timeline of sort of your, I guess, business career.
Well, I'm about 100 right now, so that's how I could get it all done. But no, back in in the 70s, I co-opted Cincinnati Insurance Company. So I would work one quarter and then I'd go to school one quarter. So I count that on my resume. I actually did Colorado from 80 to 83 and started selling insurance in 83. I still have a lot of customers from 83 and 84 that I wrote. And I wrote them maybe with I was at a really big local firm, and then they sold out to a national firm in 2012. So that's when I started my new company in 2012. I didn't want to be a national broker.
And how has that sort of that experience informed sort of what you're doing now, having been at the bigger place, started your new shop sort of from the ground up? What were some of the things that were important to you to make sure that, I mean, we probably talked about a little bit of them, but Because that is obviously a big part of where the industry is going. A lot of, well, let's say, consolidation and things like that. What are some of the things that you see of maybe if you had to give a message out to the folks that are maybe faced with that decision, or maybe again starting their own journey? What have you seen kind of being all the way through that process and now on your sort of second leg?
Well, the agency I was at was kind of like a big version of what I'm doing now. We had 30 salespeople, and we just would go in there and we take care of people, and um, we did it the old-fashioned way. Then in 2012, they sold to a national firm, and I wanted to continue to do it the old-fashioned way. When I'm talking about the differences, I think the biggest difference is when you call them versus when you call us. You might get a different person every time you call, and it's not maybe not always going to be right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that's the big difference. I mean, the big firms, they love to go after the huge accounts, the smaller $5,000 accounts, which make up a lot of our business. I mean, we like the big accounts too. Don't get me wrong, but we have relationships, and all of a sudden, a son of one of our customers said, "Hey, I'm opening up a pizza delivery shop. Can you help me?" We help them. We're not going out after that business directly, but we do help people when people need it. Our firm is pretty cool because we have a lot of established big time producers in kind of what I call a boutique agency. So we've seen everything. We do business in 48 states, just my little firm, and but we're still doing it the old fashioned way. We're answering our phones. We give everybody our cell phones. It just works. We got to maybe have a few extra people in as far as servicing goes, and we probably could make more money without them. But I kind of believe they're the ones that make us that makes the difference for us. Is we just really hold everybody's hand as much as we can, and our customers love it.
I'm not sure if you're giving yourself enough credit along the way here. I guess we'll save that for the end to decide. But I think you might be shorting yourself a little bit there. But I guess the question that I'm curious is when you again opened up shop for the in the new space, what did you guys want to focus on? What did you want to do business? Like, what was the core focus of your clientele? Like, who did you really want to really go after and serve? And is there an area of the business that you find maybe works better for whatever reason for you?
Well, our blend is 75% commercial, 25% personal. I love working with the personal, and I've really specialized in people that own more than one home. So we're doing stuff all over the country, all over the world in personal lines. That's one of the things we sell is if a person has a home and they buy a home in Florida, they don't want to have to find a new agent. They want to deal with us in Florida. So we've given them that ability. All the commercial people, they kind of look at personal lines. They kind of look down at personal lines. And our personal lines has helped us develop some substantial commercial accounts. And truthfully, when you talk with an owner, they want to talk more personal than they do their business insurance. It's been a funny thing that I've learned. So, yeah, we're very, very big in personal lines down here, but we're great in commercial lines. We have, once again, we have relationships. We build on those relationships. We're not, leading with a price. We're leading with, can you work with us and can we work with you? And I think that's I think it's a really cool thing. Most of our guys have been trained Sandler training. If you're familiar with Sandler, it's basically relationship, relationship, relationship. You just get that relationship, and if a person trusts you, they'll do business with you, and if they don't, they won't. It doesn't matter what you charge. I mean, I just believe that in my soul. Trying to impart that as much as I can to my people, and my salespeople are all pretty good at that. I mean, yeah, we want to be competitive. We want to have the best price, but when we don't, what are we talking about? We're talking about bringing the whole picture to you, and I think we do a pretty good job at that. So
Yeah, so many questions there. I want to get back to, again, like you said, not having the best price and the conversations that go in there. And then at some point, there is like a breaking point, right? To where the price at some point matters, right? It's like it doesn't matter how much they like you. It's like it's just too much. But I think the question that I want to go first into is you mentioned about developing some nice commercial accounts out of those personal accounts and just their desire to want to talk personal business and building the relationships, right? And it takes, I would say, a lot of patience in a lot of cases, and maybe where a less experienced agent might not have the patience to wait for those personal or the commercial to develop. Kind of walk me through that. Take me inside sort of those as that develops for you, maybe with a good client that you've had. Like, what have you found in those in that relationship building process to sort of kind of just take a break, pause, and really have patience?
well, the problem with what you're asking me there is the people that we hire as new salespeople. You got to teach them that it's just going to take time. And the problem is How much time am I going to give them? So as
Mm.
we walk through that little scenario, I mean, I'm telling my son all along. My son's just learning insurance, so he's not an expert. He's been doing this for about a year, came straight out of college and into this industry. So learning our business, most people start working at an insurance company and then come over and become a salesperson. I had an account that I chased after. Actually, it was on my birthday. The renewal was on my birthday, and that's why it just stood out. 10 years trying to get their commercial business, which was at the time about a $50,000 account. On the 10th year, and the guy by now knew that it was my birthday, he said, I'm going to give you a good birthday present this year. I'm going to let you handle our commercial insurance. And I was, tickled, but it was literally 10 years. And he said, and oh, by the way, I would like you to handle all of our personal now too, which by the way was 300,000 in premium. So so you just don't know where these things are going to come from and how they're going to happen. The thing that I give them, I want everybody to be poised to sell at any one moment, but I also want them to be listening to what the people are saying, because 90% of the time your prospect will tell you what you need to do to sell them. And you ask them what's bothering them. Most of the people would rather just say, hey, I got this thing, it's cheaper, it's better. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody that's going to do their certificates faster or answer the phone or handle claims better. But if you give them a chance to talk, they'll usually tell you what they need. And I believe that, and that's how I've run my life, is that I just listen and want to give them what they need. And it's really a simple business when you do that. But the problem is, like you say, you get into some of these firms, if you're not successful in 6 months, you're on the street. I look for personalities. I look for, we do a lot of personality training or testing when we hire people. I mean, our most recent sales hire, he interviewed with us for 2 years, worked for an insurance company. He wanted to be in sales so bad, and I just was not ready to start from scratch with another salesperson. But 2 years of diligently coming after us, I just said, "Hey, you're in," and we hired him, and he's come out of the gate swinging, and he's doing great. So it's an interesting thing, but I think consistently you're going to hear the same message from me. Let's build a relationship. Let's not sell price. You got to be, like you said, there's some number that you got to be at. You can't be double or anything like that, but you don't always have to be less expensive than everybody else. And you bring the value, and you got to sell the value. And if people appreciate the value, you get the business. And so I think that's my little secret sauce right there.
Yeah, and if you did want to bring it home a little bit on terms of that price and talking through that, is there something that, again, things that go a long way to helping people understand, like, when price matters, because like you said, like, a few bucks here, a few bucks there, people have been conditioned to sort of blow those things out of proportion, and we as as in the sales position, you've also sort of, like you said, you feel you could default to, oh, here's something cheaper. How do you again, I guess maybe have the patience to say, listen, this is not that big of a deal. I'll let you know when we get into something that's worthwhile. Like, what is that language that you sort of like to use to get people to at least calm down a little bit, and again, trust you when dealing with price, and when it's too much to really bear.
Well, yeah, that's a great question, and I have a million thoughts on it. The thing that I like when you start comparing price is these people, these contracts that we sell, one contract to the next, there's nothing in common with them. I mean, you got two completely different forms, and these people will think, okay, if they bear down and they're hiding all their numbers and they're saying, okay, what is it for building? What is it for cars? What all they're looking for is the cheapest price. I teach them how to buy. I teach them what's important. I teach them why my auto form's better than their auto form. Truthfully, at the end of the day, they're not going to remember anything you say about the insurance. They aren't. So what I try to do is keep it as simple as I can. I pick about 4 or 5 areas that I know are of interest to them. Simple things. Back up a sewer. I think we pay more claims on back up a sewer than anything else. And most of the forms that I'm competing against offer $5,000 back up a sewer. And these people have finished basements, they have guitars on the walls, they have all these things down there that they never even understand if the people don't give them an opportunity to dig into their stuff and really do a job of comparing what we're offering versus what they have. But, I know right away, and this has been probably the thing that freed me up the most. On my first call, I have a conversation with these people, person to person on the same level. And I just say, hey, look, it's going to take me a lot of time and effort to give a comparison to what you have. And do you have the ability to tell your current agent, if I bring you a better deal, that you can fire your current agent? That's the first question I ask. And when they say yes, I've gotten my first yes. If they say no, one of the greatest things that ever happened is a person told me, well, I have an uncle that does my insurance. I stood up, I shook his hand, I thanked him for not making me go through all that. And I said, if anything ever changes on that, let me know. And you want to know something? It did, and I got the business. But there's a lot of power you get walking away from a sale that the guy's wasting your time. And for me, that freed my life up. And I tell other people, the first time you do that with a customer will be the first time that you really have control of what you're doing, because we don't need every sale. We want to get good people. We want to interview them. We don't want people that all they do is turn in claims and complain about the price. We want to get people that work well with us and do insurance the way we do insurance. And so it's a training program as far as I'm concerned. And I learn about them and I learn what they want. You don't get them all, but I would say we get more than we probably should.
All right, Alvin, fantastic stuff. I have three more questions for you, sir.
All right.
And the first one is, what is one thing you hope you never forget?
Wow, great question. Um, I guess never forget to be humble. This industry has been awesome to me. I've had some great successes over the years, and I just don't ever want to forget what got me there and how people trusted in me. Truthfully, I'm paying them back as best I can every single day.
Now, on the other side of that, Alvin, what's one thing you still have yet to learn?
I do have a tendency to look for the good in people, even though they got every sign of not being the kind of person you want to deal with, and walking away from those kind of people just makes your life, because when you don't, every single time it backfires on you. When I deal with the people I like to deal with, it's fun to come to work. Love to come in and work on Saturdays and Sundays, knowing that I'm doing, getting ready to hit Monday with nothing on my desk. And as you can see, I did a pretty good job today. I'll come in on Saturdays and Sundays for that reason. But yeah, it's dealing with the right people, dealing with the people that you really want to fight for, and walking away from when you know that they're not the right people. So uh, I make mistakes on that periodically, but I don't know. Is that okay? Does that sound?
I mean, I think it's all right, Alvin, as long as you're aware of it, right?
Yeah.
Last question to you, sir. If I were to hand you a magic wand of sorts to reshape, change, alter, speed up, really any part of insurance, what is that thing? Where is it going? And what's it doing?
The industry has, like you said earlier, consolidated. One of the things that happens with insurance agencies is that they get these non-competes. I have a lot of friends that are working in dead end agencies, and they can't get out of it because they can't go 3 years without having an industry or having what they've learned in their lives. So I would like to um, have a magic wand to say, you know, give these people the opportunity to go work for the people that they want to go work for. My old agency sold out. A lot of our top guys left right away, and some got into other industries. Some, stuck it out. And you should never have to work in a place that you don't enjoy. And I try to make our place a place that everybody enjoys. And so, if I could have a magic wand, it would be like they did in the college basketball this year. You have the portals that you can jump in and out of and go to the places you want to go to. I just hate the thought of being in a place that you can't, that you don't like and you're not part of. I mean, we're working right now and offering some ownership to some of my people. I got that opportunity, back in 1987 to be an owner of a company. That's the greatest thing in the whole world, to be a part of something and something that you work toward. And when they do well, you do better. And if they do worse, you got to pick it up. So the responsibility of being an entrepreneur is something that I would ask everybody in the world get an opportunity to get to if they can. And I was lucky enough to get into this industry. I was not the best student in the world, but I was a hard worker, and Hard work still pays off as far as I'm concerned. So there's my magic wand. Work hard and you get what you want. How about that?
Alvin, this has been fantastic. So I really appreciate it. We're going to leave it right there.
Okay. Thank you.